Hey everybody, it's time for my second video game intro remake. This one is to my newest one to my Xbox One, my newest console, which I got for my 31st birthday in 2020. Xbox on One. This is actually the last video game playthrough I did. I like those last ones I did, but they really weren't that good. The video quality is just too high for the upgraded Xbox One for the upgraded Xbox One and my PC webcam. 2007 PC webcam. So I'm going to try to redo them by turning down the quality just a little bit more. Or at least deciding to try to play at night. To get a better picture. Hopefully at night with the lights off to get a better picture quality. As always, I once again decided to do this video right here because the 2021 intros I don't remember. They're somewhere in my video library. I forgot to save and archive them like I do other videos now. And I also wanted to wear a different costume, a slightly different costume, and thirdly, also my Xbox One. Yeah. My Xbox One doesn't have sound. I quote unquote got to get another television or converter box. I've been too lazy to get either or. When I got I should have went with my mom. I got a television. My mom purchased a television monitor, not a computer monitor instead, a gigantic computer monitor. So so there will be no sound. But I may try thinking about adding music. Only problem I have with adding music. Other types of music and sound effects that will occasionally drown out my voice and make it hard to understand what I'm saying. So that's the issue there. But this is what I'm doing. But as always, like I said in the previous one, as soon as I get the next television or sound converter box, I'll happily redo these reviews because I love reviewing and playing these games. Yeah, Xbox One. Xbox One is so far the worst and best system I watch. The graphics and everything are awesome. However, the technology and the parts is the most stressful system I've ever bought. But I had to play Mortal Kombat X11 and Killer Instinct again. So what's his name? So what else? So the Super Vader for 100 here, brown skin human, Douglas Blair Roberts, coming back at you with another video. Yeah, get ready for the quote unquote. Get ready for my video intro. Let's get the plan.
Inside this even here. I think of all the reasons, but it's still not clear. So many places to go, there's nothing here. So let's get away from this, 'cause this place we'll hardly miss. So take me back in time to another world. We don't have to worry when you're by my side. There's nothing I don't know, there's nothing to decide apart from where we want to go. Is it me, or have we found?
Hey everybody, Douglas Blair Roberts here, Super Beta 400. It's now time for a quote-unquote another. It's time for another yeah, it's time for a quote-unquote another Killer Instinct Xbox One video game playthrough. This time with Jago and Orchid. I've already finished Jago's portion. I defeated the following: TJ Combo, Riptor, Chief Thunder, Chief Thunder, Glacius, and Cinder. I lasted all the way up until Saberwolf. This is a Jago and Orchid gameplay. Like I said, I finished Jago's gameplay. This is a new style of gameplay I do with fighting games. This is actually an old style I did when I was a kid, when I sucked at fighting games. When I sucked at fighting games, I would use multiple characters. I would use multiple characters until I finally beat the game with one. In this new one, for the purpose of storytelling, and to keeping the fighting games fun, I play as multiple characters. I select one character, then play as him or her until I lose. Then when I lose with that character, I pick the next character to make it feel like the actual storyline of that game. Because in most gameplay throughs, you play as one character throughout the whole thing, but in the actual story, there were multiple fights between multiple characters leading up to the final fight. So that's what I'm gonna be doing now. I finished Jago's. And I went undefeated until I fought Saberwolf. Now I'm fighting Black. Now I'm Black Orchid fighting Saberwolf, and now I'm at a stalemate. This fight could go either way now. So let's get started right now. If I lose with Orchid again, I'm gonna pick Slick Jago again. So yeah, Killer Instinct 1994. To this day, still one of the greatest games. Ever, and for the most part, has stood the test of time. It's not until you see the high definition, almost Blu-ray graphics of the modern era and the cutscenes of today, where this game begins to show its age. The cutscenes of then and the cutscenes of now. These are a couple of random stop motion cutscenes instead of full-length animated cutscenes, which we would get in the later 90s, early to late 2000s, and they were perfected by the quote-unquote 2010s. So as you saw, I just quote-unquote defeated Saberwolf. So now I'm on Jago, who I was just playing as. And now I'm getting my butt kicked by Jago. Yeah, still one of the greatest games ever. Stood the test of time. I'm more blown away by the CGI models of this game than I am of its most recent 2013 remake, which I thought was fun for nostalgia, but I thought that was just a nostalgic crash grab. And even even Microsoft knew it themselves, because guess what? If you want to sit up here and argue about that, they offered this game, a digital version of this game, Killer Instinct 94 and 2, the much superior versions, over and bundled together with its crappy reboot. So if you don't like the reboot, well, you got the original you got the more exciting digital versions, original quote-unquote versions. Yeah, going back to Killer Instinct 94. Killer Instinct 1994 and Donkey Kong Country, Super Mario Brothers 64, and yeah, Super Mario Bros. 64 were the first full-length 3D games I played. While the rest of the video game world had moved on, I was still playing 2D games. The closest to 3D I ever played was Sonic, the bonus stages of Sonic 3 and Knuckles, and the video game Sonic 3D Blast, which in Sonic and Knuckles, only the bonus stage had 3D. It was still 2D, but it had 3D gameplay and special effects. Then you had Sonic 3D Blast, which was once again 2D, but it had 3D like gameplay and 3D like special effects, but it was still mostly a 2D almost role-playing action adventure style of game, Sonic 3D Blast, platformer type video game. So when I saw Donkey Kong Country, Killer Instinct, and later Super Mario Brothers, I was blown away because this was the first time I played 3D games. The rest of the world had moved on, but not me. I was just starting with what's the name? I couldn't afford the bigger high-tech consoles yet. The Sega Genesis was all I could quote unquote all I could afford at the time. So I was still with the 2D. I was still with the 2D stuff. So when I saw this, all of my friends had this for the Super Nintendo. All of my friends had this game. When I saw this game, I was surprised that they got something, and to this day I'm still surprised that they got something this high-tech on the Super Nintendo. Of course, the Super Nintendo had to scale down on the graphics and gameplay, but I'm still shocked they even managed to get something this high-tech on an old 8-bit Super Nintendo style quote-unquote console. And I was blown away by the graphics, the characters, the story, the violence, gore, and comedy. And I've been a huge fan ever since. And I always wanted to play it again. When it was finally time for me to get consoles, after I had got the Sega Genesis, I got the Sega Genesis right during its last year around. I got it in early '97. In early '97. Come 1998, Sega Genesis gone. Sega Genesis was gone. Same with then I decided after playing the Sega Genesis multiple times, I wanted a Super Nintendo. I wanted a Super Nintendo or Sega Saturn. Super Nintendo gone, also gone. Sega Saturn also gone in America. He stayed around a little longer in Japan, but also gone. So that's how I upgraded to the PlayStation. Upgraded to the quote-unquote PlayStation. But still, so yeah, both of these were gone. So they're gone. So I can, and then I never ever got a chance to get Killer Instinct Gold for the what's his name. Could never afford. First off, when it was new, could never afford it. Then when it was quote unquote old, could never find it. Could never quote unquote find it. So and then the Super before I could find it, Nintendo 64 completely went out of business. Stopped making games. They stopped making games in 2001. I remember they stopped making games in new games in 2001, but they stayed around till at least 2003 and 4. Oh, damn. Yeah, so yeah, then, finally, and actually I tracked down this garbage Xbox One system. This is already the worst system I've ever played. I thought the 360, the 7th generation consoles were going to be the worst. No, this is actually worse than those consoles. Even the PS3, which I still hate the PS3 more than I hate the PS4 and Xbox One. But both of these consoles are worse than that. Because at least with the PS3 you can just grab and play. Whereas here I had to get a whole nother television just to play this, and then I didn't get a television. My mom got me a computer monitor. But I have to get an actual television or get a special speaker to get the sound, which you notice, yeah, there's no sound on this. Sounds like I said in the intro. Then I had to get a special cord to even get the thing to turn on. a special cord, which I still got to research how that's work, because that's gonna be important for buying any future console. But already, never seen a video game console that was this complicated. Already, and I'm dealing with another problem where something is wrong with my router or internet connection, even though my internet connection is actually fine. But because of this, it's not letting me sign into my profile, and thus I can't save stuff. Believe it or not, that surprisingly doesn't affect these reviews. It actually makes these reviews better, because one thing I don't like about this game is that you can never start over on this game. Once you start a game, you have to complete it. When you quit the game and you come back later, you'll leave off on the part you stopped at. So yeah, believe it or not, that's actually not a problem when doing reviews, because I can just turn it off and start over. But I can't save stuff, so I can't save stuff. But it's surprising that doesn't affect reviews. But going back to what I was saying, earlier, going back to what I was saying earlier about the So yeah, but I tracked down this garbage Xbox One just to play this, and this Killer Instinct game was an Xbox One exclusive. They knew their system was garbage. So this, which could have easily been on the PS3 or the 360, they made you pay for this. They made just to buy. They made this exclusive just to get you to pay for this crappy Xbox One console. This could have easily been a 360 video game, The newest one is supposed to be an 8th generation game, yet it looks like the Mortal Kombat 9 and Street Fighter game. Yeah, that's all it was. It wasn't old school Killer Instinct. It was just Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat 4. Street Fighter 4 and Mortal Kombat 9 with Killer Instinct style gameplay, storytelling, and lore is all it was. The newest one, but I'll save that for when I get to that. When we get to that game. But this right here is Killer Instinct, the original. But yeah, and this game right here is as fun now as it was back in 94. Back in 94 is actually somewhat even better than it was back in 94, because this game, unlike the second one, this game was released in 94 for the Super Nintendo, and as such, it had to be scaled down. The arcade and the Super Nintendo version are vastly similar, except there's several differences. For one, the arcade game now has full-length 3D graphics. Their models are still revolutionary today, and their stages are more digitally enhanced, and the gameplay in the 2D version is a straight up side scroller. This is a side scroller, but it's a 2D game with 3D movement, similar to what Mortal Kombat 4 or the game Real About Fatal Fury was. That was a 2D side scroller, but you can press the dodge button, which allows you to enter onto a new plane of the same stage, and that's what this game has on certain levels, particularly my favorite levels. Riptor's level, which is where most of the story Killer Instinct took place, the Killer Instinct arena, Riptor's level, Jago's level, and of course the buildings level, Orchid and Cinders, which I really love the buildings levels for the fatalities. These are my top 4 favorite levels, followed by the quote-unquote rest. But those have almost like 3D style of quote-unquote gameplay. 3D style of gameplay. Also 3D style of gameplay. So yeah, this game Killer Instinct Killer Instinct. The storyline is a sci-fi fantasy martial arts adventure style of martial arts adventure comic book anime style of comic book anime movie style of storyline. I'm actually surprised no one has. I'm in the process of getting it, of trying to get it done. I'm still in the developmental stages, in the writing and drawing stages. But I'm actually surprised no one has approached Hollywood. Hollywood has never approached Rare for potential to adapt this for television and film. They did a comic book, but I'm mad they never did a better comic book, another comic book, and quote unquote never did a cartoon. What you call it? The storyline is set, I think, in a futuristic 1994 or 5 in this game, in this quote unquote game, Killer Instinct 1994, Ultra Tech has taken over most of the world, and they began sponsoring a martial arts deathmatch competition called the Killer Instinct, where humans, mutants, genetically enhanced animals, dinosaurs, cyborgs, aliens, and other enhanced beings compete. Multiple characters have their own reason for entering the tournament, but the storyline mostly revolves around twins, Orchid and quote unquote Jago, with the character TJ Combo, the boxer, also having a big role. Orchid is tasked with infiltrating and surviving the Killer Instinct tournament and bringing Ultra Tech's cruel experiments and crimes to light and ending the organization once and for all. Jago, guided by an entity called the Tiger Spirit, enters the tournament on the behalf of the Tiger Spirit to defeat and rid the world of Ultra Tech's newest creation, Fulgor, the cyborg I'm fighting right now. The newest creation of Ultra Tech, who's a series of robots with Chief Thunder the Shaman's brother inside. That's why he enters the tournament, because of his brother. Combo enters. Combo was a boxer with enhanced cybernetics, similar to Jax from Mortal Kombat. He's even played by live action actor John Parrish, who portrayed Jax in the early Mortal Kombat games. John Parrish. He was banned from boxing and stripped of his championship. He now enters the tournament for the love of the money and to get the belt that was stripped from him. Then you got who I like to call the anti-hero of Killer Instinct, the Sub-Zero of Killer Instinct, the ice alien Glacius, who received the distress signal from I think one of his brothers, that ended up being captured by Ultra Tech. He now fights the quote unquote. He now is forced to fight in the tournament if he wants to quote unquote earn his freedom. Then you got Glacius's rival, Sindor, the fire being, and one of the series' bad guys, and minor antagonists, and that is quote unquote Cinder. He's both a villain and an anti-hero, because he himself is not shown to be evil, but he was a criminal in previous life and is forced to fight in this fire tournament. He was a being who was experimented on. He experimented on and made quote unquote made a fire being like the Human Torch, like a fire being like the quote unquote Human Torch with the personality of a Deadpool. He likes to make jokes and stuff. In the newer version, his resemblance to Deadpool and the Human Torch is uncanny. Yeah, in this version, he's forced to fight in terms. If he wants to earn his freedom, he will be paroled from his crimes and also receive a quote-unquote cure. I think that's why he enters the tournament. He's also one of the only characters to actually die, as he's killed and slain by Iglesias, who defeats him to earn his freedom. Meanwhile, quote-unquote, then you got the other anti-hero neutral, I would say more so neutral character. You got Saberwolf. I was going to say neutral. He's not evil, but he's a werewolf with a violent condition, with a violent uncontrollable condition, and desperately wants to find a quote unquote cure. And he's not affiliated. He's not really affiliated with the heroes, but he does seem to have some connection with Orchid, and as such, so yeah, he's pretty much another neutral anti-hero based character. Then you got who else? Oh yeah, then you got I mentioned Chief Thunder the Shaman. Then you got Spinal, one of the sub bosses, who is a decayed skeleton of a deceased warrior and a reanimated skeleton, tasked with fighting with Ultratech if he ever wants his body back. Then you got the main antagonist of Killer Instinct, Holgor, the cyborg, who I was just fighting. Then you got Ben, the chairman of Ultratech, who appears in the comic books but doesn't appear in the games. He managed to get his hands on some portal dimension technology which will allow them to be beings from another world. He brings quote unquote Spinal, the two-headed monster I'm fighting right now. The two-headed monster I'm fighting. I'm not Spinal, but Idol, the two-headed monster from another dimension, and you have to defeat him. You have to defeat him to quote unquote see what that character did after the battle. According to the series' canon, Jago defeated and killed Fulgor, and was rewarded by the Tiger Spirit with new power. Orchid alone somehow beat Idol. That's the only problem I had a problem with. In the comic book, it's both Orchid and Jago together, which is more believable. You see how powerful he is. He's one of the cheapest bosses ever. Even though this is who you have to defeat to win, I hate fighting him because he's such a cheap SOB. I like fighting everyone in the game but him. He is the cheapest SOB and the most unfair boss ever. It's even worse in the Super Nintendo version. In the Super Nintendo version, when you beat him on easy, instead of giving you the ending you want, the ending or your reward for being your reward is you get trolled. They mock you for playing under a weak difficulty. But that's only in the Super Nintendo version. Here, no matter what version you beat it on, you get your correct ending. And Orchid somehow defeated him, caused a time paradox with the Killer Instinct building and many more, and the Fulgor is all 200 plus years in the past, setting us up for the sequel. But that's the quote unquote sequel. But that's quote unquote Killer Instinct 94. The video game itself, according to the creator, I think his name is Ken Leop, something like that. The game is a cross between Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, and SNK's obscure World Heroes fighting game. I love that game. It has the in-depth fighting engine. Of a Street Fighter and World Heroes with the violence, brutality, gore, comedy, and fatality finishing maneuvers of a quote-unquote Mortal Kombat. And both Mortal Kombat would replicate things from Killer Instinct, such as the very awesome, cool killer combos. And Killer Instinct would also borrow the tournament ladder from the the tournament ladder from quote unquote Mortal Kombat. In the other games, in the other games, in the other games, it's you going around the world, in a airplane fighting people from all around the world, like in Street Fighter. Yeah, we already fought enough with Orchid. Let's try Jago. Wow, yeah, my buddy even kicked harder with Jago. So yeah, my favorite my favorite characters to play as are Jago, the Tibetan monk, yeah, he's the one I play with the most, and this character is easily readable for easily playable and accessible for beginner players. I've achieved the most scores and achievements on Xbox Live with this character right here. Followed by Black Orchid. Who is also really accessible and vastly similar to him. And despite the fact that both of them are two different ethnicities, they're both considered twins. Just like in Double Dragon, or the later Double Dragon games and adaptations, starting with Super. What else about this game? Oh yeah. Glacius, the ice being, Cinder, the fire being, who's even cooler to play as. Then you got who's after those guys? Glacius, oh yes, Fulgor, Chief Thunder, and of course Combo. Combo and Chief Thunder are last because they're just like, well, Combo is like Guile from Street Fighter. He's a charge character. His combos, finishing maneuvers and combos are awesome, but he's so damn slow. And Chief Thunder is just like is a shaman version of Jago, but because he's older, he's the oldest warrior. He's 40 years old. He's slower than the rest, making him quote unquote open for quote unquote attack. Jago, Orchid, Glacius, Cinder, and Fulgor are pretty much the best to play as. As far as fighting, I like fighting everyone except Idol, even though Idol's the one you want to beat. The character is pretty cool. It's pretty unique for a boss, but he is the cheapest boss ever. His counterpart in the second, Garganos, is even worser. And he can also regenerate. So now is he big, strong, and seemingly indestructible. He can regenerate. That's the only problem. Like I said, that's the only problem I have. I love the storyline. Only other problem I have is they don't have a story mode to connect each storyline to connect overall one picture. Even though this storyline is a little bit easier to follow in comparison to the Street Fighter ones, because there's only one game. They both are the same in both versions. As far as endings, I like them all. I actually enjoy them all. Like I said, I just wish they connected all the endings, all the storylines into one overall gigantic storyline. Something they still haven't done, not even in the newest one, Killer Instinct 2013. But one thing I did like, since the game only wanted to focus on gameplay, they did adapt the adventures. The now defunct Acclaim comics did adapt the versions for a short-lived comic book, which I consider this video game comic book to be one of the best comic books comic books produced, and one of the best based upon a video game. Alongside the Street Fighter, alongside the quote-unquote Street Fighter comic books. The Street Fighter and various Capcom-based comic books. Which are the best? Oh man, hopefully yes, let's get him, let's get him, let's get him. Yeah, got him. Die. Haha. Like I said, this game took about 30-something minutes to beat. And he alone takes a long time. I sometimes lose to the other guys, but Idol alone takes forever, man. The cheapest boss ever. And his counterpart, Garganos, is even worser. See, it's not till you see the endings where the game shows his age. The cutscenes stop. The cutscenes, quote unquote, stop, and there's just text at the bottom. You don't hear any actual word. You just hear the characters grunt or groan or say one random phrase like "yeah, yeah." That's where the game begins to show its age. But other than that, these CGI models, gameplay cutscenes, I'm more blown away by these. And in the sequel was even bigger and badder, but it's not as iconic or as memorable as this one right here. The sequel is even bigger and badder, but it's not as memorable or iconic. So, yeah, quote unquote. This was, yeah, what else about Killer Instinct 1994? Yeah, to this day, still one of the best games ever. The sequel was even bigger and badder, but it's not as iconic as this game right here. Not as iconic as this game right here. So, yeah, definitely gonna redo this again. Maybe later. Yeah, definitely gonna redo this again with other characters like Glacius Cinder. May do a full-length Orchid playthrough or another Jago Orchid playthrough where I completed with Orchid. I'm just better with Jago. Well, this was Killer Instinct 94. You don't want to see the rest of the intros and hear the rest of the music? Turn the video off right now.
Yeah.